Do you drink coffee? Are you a regular at drinking coffee? What type of coffee drinker are you? More importantly, where do you fall on the coffee snob spectrum? Are you more towards the bottom with your taster's choice and your Chesterfield in the morning with the powder creamer? Or are you using a Mr. Coffee home brewer single cup? Are you more of someone who likes to wait in line at a Starbucks or McDonald's? Or do you like going to a gas station to get your coffee? What about K-cups? Are you into Keurigs? Or are you into French press? Do you hand grind your beans or electric grind them? Or are you into completely manual pour overs? Lastly, do you not drink coffee at all? You like caffeine? Like tea maybe? What makes coffee so interesting is that it's such a common topic. It's a household word, and we all fall into one of these groups of people. Whether you're on the end of the spectrum that's more interested in a less time-consuming process to making coffee quickly, effortlessly, and with minimal costs, to someone who wants to go head first into making coffee as manually as possible and as time-consuming as possible in order to get the best cup they can possibly taste. You'll see that you fall into one of these camps, and when you move from one to the next, you may find yourself resistant at first to make that move due to a preconceived notion you had about that certain group you were moving into, or level, or whatever you want to call it. There are a couple sides to this issue. You have a large, growing number of people who are becoming very interested in coffee and getting into all kinds of new territories with how into it they are. And when you hit a certain level of investment into a niche topic, a certain level of snobbery tends to take place when it comes to looking at people who still do coffee or whatever it is in a way that you deem less admirable. And when you're someone who may like going to Starbucks and you encounter a person who likes to make coffee using a siphon, you may feel like they're looking down on you a little bit for the type of beverage you're trying to consume. And in that feeling of rejection, you may reject going to whatever level you see them at. You may not want to participate in that group of people for how one particular individual made you feel. So are you a coffee snob? You scoff as you're driving past your local Starbucks and see that line of people and ask yourself, why are you in line to buy a $5 milkshake? You get upset at the grocery store when you go down the coffee aisle and you see that coffee was roasted 2 years ago. People are still buying it. You walk away from people when they start talking about the new K-cups they got, or how proud they are that they switched from McCafe to Green Mountain. And what do you do when someone offers you a cup of coffee that you deem unacceptable to drink? Do you scoff and walk away? On the flip side, are you someone who was burned by a coffee snob and now you refuse to see any possible merit to what they have to say? You ask yourself, why would someone waste all their time on coffee when they can just simply have it made in a machine for them? Do you find those types of coffee drinkers to be completely insufferable? Can you simply just not taste the difference between a Ergochef and a Maxwell House? You see, it seems to be a double-edged sword, because on one end we have people who've definitely employed some sort of superiority complex to a group who may not have as much information as them on a certain topic, like coffee. Then we have the group who's reacting to that sort of negativity and refusing to listen to that group. Because in the beginning, you may have the coffee snob being really mean to someone who's not as into coffee as them, who may even think they're into coffee as much as they are, and they get snubbed. And then the next time the person that gets snubbed talks to someone about coffee, they assume that that person has the same level of intensity and hatred in their heart as the first one. And then, that person may actually really enjoy a certain type of coffee, but the way that it was first communicated to them completely ruined the entire experience for them all around. And I don't think that's the intention that the original person had. They're just so excited and also just unable to articulate maybe the certain level of enjoyment they find in that craft, and they just can't fathom how anyone could possibly want to live otherwise. I think I would ask the coffee snob, did you come out of the womb enjoying pour over coffee? Because I doubt it. I assume it was probably of a lower quality for sure. Also, did you get into coffee because a very angry person came at you and made you feel bad for not enjoying more delicious cups of coffee that you may not even have known existed? Like all great hobbies, you have to start somewhere, and you generally start small. So it's wise to think about what type of reaction you are anticipating when you speak to someone about something you're interested in. And is going about it in a way that's gonna degrade them or make them feel rejected? Is that going to make them hop on the coffee wagon any sooner than if you were just simply a nicer person and heard them out? I think you have to ask yourself, what would you react best to? And for the person who's rejecting the more snobby coffee world, I would have to ask you to not always discount an entire group of people based on the actions of a few or an individual. Even if you've had a couple encounters like that, and if there's a certain negative stigma surrounding a particular group, not every individual matches the same sentiments as the groups they affiliate with. They are all individuals. And it's wrong to totally discount someone's opinion because they are into a particular interest or hobby. So we should all do a better job at trying to understand where people are at in their particular part of life. We can highlight our passions for certain topics without having to belittle anyone along the way. I know I've made a mistake of assuming everyone had the same amount of information as I did about a particular topic, and they were just being stubborn about getting involved in that interest. But over time, it became clear to me that that wasn't the case, and I should stop being surprised when people act in a certain way that makes most sense to them, whether right or wrong, because they got there through their own unique set of experiences, just like I got to where I am through my own. So at the end of the day, by seeking to understand before we try to educate, we may find ourselves having more fruitful conversations, and eventually maybe the message we're trying to send does get received. So, cheers to coffee. It smells like death.